is Valley News Live at 5:30.
We start tonight with breaking news. New information about charges in a deadly fight in downtown Fargo. The man who allegedly knocked two men unconscious after a brawl spilled out of a downtown bar is facing a manslaughter charge. 43-year-old Darren Patterson was initially arrested for aggravated assault and simple assault. But one of the charges has now been upgraded following the death of one of the men involved. The fight took place outside of the Hodo on the night of May 27th. One of the men involved, Jamie Grant, died from his injuries. Patterson is due back in court next week, but prosecutors say that may be changing due to the amount of evidence that's still to be processed. At this time, Patterson remains out on bond. We're also following a breaking story out of South Fargo. A crash on the westbound lanes of I-94 is causing a traffic backup. It looks like the problem is starting right around the off-ramp to I-29. We are working to get more information from authorities. Be sure to stay with Valley News Live for further updates. A Holly man was arrested early yesterday morning after police found out he was operating a meth lab right here in Fargo. 51-year-old Paul Robertson is facing several charges, including methamphetamine manufacture and drug paraphernalia possession. Police were called to the 1800 block of South University Drive on a report of a suspicious van in that area. When police arrived on scene, they found Robertson passed out behind the wheel. Police also found all of this. Take a look, 1.8 grams of methamphetamine and several other items of drug paraphernalia. Police also found many chemicals and equipment needed to manufacture meth. The lab was not active when it was found, but the chemicals involved can still pose a risk to people in the area. We're now getting our first look at the dash cam video released today of the high-profile manslaughter trial of Geronimo Yanez. It captures the exchange between Yanez and Castile that ends in 7 gunshots in a matter of seconds. The video, we want to warn you, is graphic. Leading up to this moment, Officer Yanez followed Philando Castile for a broken taillight and eventually pulled him over. Yanez asks for Castile's license and insurance, and as Castile hands Yanez his insurance card, he says that he has a firearm on him. Yanez then says, "Okay, don't reach for it then." Castile replies, but it's hard to hear exactly what's being said. That's when, as you can see, Yanez fires his weapon, saying that he had asked Castile not to pull it out. The dash cam continues to record as other officers arrive, giving Castile chest compressions. Last Friday, a jury found Yanez not guilty of all charges. The family of Philando Castile is now planning to file a civil suit against Yanez. One local woman is warning others about a scary situation that happened to her at the Hornbacher's grocery store off 32nd Avenue. Her post about a man harassing her in the parking lot is getting shared on the neighborhood site next door, giving a description of the man and alerting others to be on the lookout. Tonight on Valley News Live at 9 on Fargo CW and 10 at 10, Valley News Team's Cornelius Hawker gets the latest on the incident and checks with officials to see what they're doing about it. And that scary situation at Hornbacher's highlights the safety concerns of some, which were heightened in this area around the time that Drew Shadeen was kidnapped and killed. The man responsible for Shadeen's death started his latest appeal against the death penalty today. Alfonso Rodriguez Jr. is the only man in North Dakota to be sentenced to death row after kidnapping Shadeen from the Grand Forks shopping mall and brutally murdering her. Rodriguez is appealing his death sentence. His lawyers are saying that medical examiners did not properly test Shadeen with questions about the rape examination and Shadeen's wounds. This hearing could last up to 7 days, mainly focusing on the testimony from the doctor involved in those examinations. And back to the breaking story from South Fargo. A heads up for anyone planning to use I-94. There is a crash causing a major backup in the westbound lanes right near the off-ramp to I-29. You can still see that it's at a standstill right now. But in the meantime, Robert, nearly perfect conditions for this evening.
Yeah, a very nice day out there. Temperatures a mix of 60s and 70s and some light winds out there. Lots of sunshine. Get out there and enjoy this evening. Right now, 71 here in the Fargo-Moorhead area, 73 Grand Forks, 76 warm degrees down in the Sisseton area. Winds, as mentioned, rather light, and they're going to stay light through the rest of the evening and into tomorrow morning. Cloud cover, not a whole lot of it, just a few clouds out there, most numerous in our southwestern counties and northeastern counties. Underneath what clouds we do have maybe an isolated sprinkle in our far southwestern counties, but a lot of that if any of it is not reaching the ground. Here in Fargo, as we head through the rest of the evening, some partly sunny skies will continue. Temperatures in the low 70s at the 7 o'clock hour, right around 70 at 8, and dipping down into the upper 60s at 9 o'clock. A nice day today. Tomorrow may not be as nice. More of the details on that coming up in just a few minutes.
All right. Thank you, Robert. Voting is underway right now to determine the future for downtown Grand Forks. The contentious Arbor Park development decision will be made by voters tonight. Arbor Park is a small pocket park in the heart of downtown. A developer wants to build a $7 million apartment complex there, but the arts community is pushing back against that idea. Thousands have cast their vote already. If you are a Grand Forks resident, you still have time to vote. Voting runs until 7 tonight at the Alaris Center. A yes vote saves the park, and a no vote is a vote to develop it. One person was sent to the hospital after a head-on crash on Highway 59 in Minnesota. The State Patrol says 87-year-old Irvin Johnson of Fergus Falls was driving on the highway when he crossed over the center line and hit an oncoming car. The driver of that car, 81-year-old Claire Birdsley of Fergus, was taken to a Detroit Lakes hospital. Authorities believe her injuries are not life-threatening.
With kids, I could imagine it's really busy and you don't want to bring your kids with you, but you kind of have to, and then that's like even more juggling. And
it's just convenient. That's what most people said we talked with today about shopping for groceries online. We first told you yesterday about Amazon's nearly $14 billion deal to buy Whole Foods. Like so many other things, is our grocery shopping now heading to the internet? Valley News Team's Bradford Eric talks with shoppers who say this might change the game.
It used to be you parked your car, grabbed a cart, and started checking items off your grocery list. But how many of us still actually do this nowadays when you don't even have to get up off your couch to buy your food? The Food Marketing Institute predicts by 2025, online grocery spending will reach $100 billion, eating up 20% of the industry.
Sometimes I do buy them online if I have really a lot of stuff and don't want to leave the house. But usually I just live a couple blocks from here, so I just run over.
I'm an introvert and a huge homebody, and shopping stresses me out because you see so many things. You go with a list for like 3 things, and you walk in and you're like, oh, there's other things that aren't on my list. I forget the things I wanted, and it's just like...
At least 2 grocery chains in the Fargo-Moorhead area offer online shopping, Cashwise and Hornbachers, and they'll deliver those orders right to your door. And it seems Hornbachers wants in on the action a little more, currently offering a discount for shopping in that fashion. Remember JCPenney? How about Macy's? The finger is often pointed at Amazon as a major reason why these brick-and-mortar retailers are closing up shop. The fear is your local grocery store could be next. In Fargo, Bradford Eric, Valley News Live.
According to Euromonitor International, Walmart is the largest grocery retailer in the U.S., eating up 26% of the market. Senator Heidi Heitkamp is using her podcast to talk about how the healthcare overhaul will end up harming North Dakotans. In the latest episode of The Hot Dish, healthcare experts question the Republican healthcare bill, saying it will hurt people in the state with pre-existing conditions, will gut Medicaid, put rural hospitals at risk, and hurt children and those with disabilities.
Talk about the consequences of eliminating Medicaid expansion, and also talk about the challenges that we have maintaining the exchanges when we don't know whether the administration is going to continue with the cost sharing.
Senator Heitkamp says if the latest proposal is anything like the bill passed by the House, it would take away health care coverage from 28,000 North Dakotans. Senators in Washington are looking to give some relief to craft beverage companies. There's widespread support on Capitol Hill for legislation that would provide tax relief for local breweries, wineries, and also distilleries. Our Washington Bureau's Peter Zampa reports on how federal help could lead to job growth.
So usually we start at about 5 o'clock in the morning.
What it takes to make craft liquid gold.
The last shift wraps up anywhere between 11 and 1 in the morning.
A daunting endeavor taken on by Brandon Skull and his partner Jeff Hancock, the co-founders of DC Brow.
DC really needed to have this, and we wanted to be the first ones to make it happen.
A Washington-based craft brewery founded in 2009, Skull says they keep expanding. but it's not always easy.
Since day one, we've always been battling resources, whether it's raw ingredients, whether it's staff, and mainly it's because we're growing at such a rapid rate, we don't have all the finances we need.
What could help? Skull says tax relief. Lawmakers in Washington are noticing the burden federal excise taxes have on these startups. Louisiana Senator John Kennedy has 28 craft breweries in his state. He says he doesn't know how they've survived.
Give these people a break, for God's sakes. They're small, they create jobs. Many of them don't turn a profit yet. Don't tax them to death.
Kennedy is one of 45 co-sponsors on legislation that would lower the excise tax on the industry. Brewers like Skull could then use that money to expand their business, creating more jobs. But there are two sides to tax relief.
The average person, they would say, I want to pay less taxes. But that same person wants better roads, better airports, better air, better water. These are things that come at a cost.
Thomas Cook is a tax expert at Georgetown University. He says excise taxes raise billions each year for the federal government. Cook says if these craft companies use these savings to grow their business, that's great. But
if they use it simply to put more money in their pocket and not pass the savings along to consumers, then at the end of the day, who really has won? And it's very hard to monitor that.
The Craft Beverage Modernization and Tax Reform Act currently sits in the Senate Finance Committee, and there's companion legislation in the House. Reporting in Washington, I'm Peter Zampa.
In our area, we have craft breweries in Fargo, Moorhead, Mapleton, Detroit Lakes, Hallock, Bemidji, and Perham, just to name a few. A new water main system in downtown Fargo means more roads will be closed. Drivers around the YMCA Furco branch will notice 4th Street is now closed. Through different phases, Main Avenue will also be impacted from 2nd Street to 4th Street. The $2.5 million project will replace the water main and the sanitary sewer main, among other improvements.
This is the last year of 3 years that we had to put in a sanitary sewer force main to get up to the wastewater plant. And the lift station is right adjacent to this project, so we needed to get in here to do that work.
To see more Fargo Street projects and get signed up for their emails, just go to valleynewslive.com and click on our hot button for a link to their website. Well, it is that time of year again, the day we found out what creative, on-a-stick foods we can expect at the Great Minnesota Get-Together. While many travel to the state fair every year for the sights, the people watching, and the booths, we all really know it's about the food. And this year, you can try up to 31 new foods, including spicy Thai noodles, triple truffle trotters, Mifid's tachos, duck bacon wontons, deep fried avocado, chocolate popover with peanut butter spread, and bacon fluffer nutters. Oh my goodness. For a full list of those new foods, head to this story at valleynewslive.com. Well, Delta wants to help you get through the airport even faster. How its new kiosk is checking your face before you check your bag. That's still ahead tonight.
Today, a very